how are you?
Good. How are you?
We finally made it to the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.
How are you feeling?
Good.
A little nervous?
Not really. I'm just never done this before, so there's just new opportunities to learn something new. So
I'm glad you got out of your comfort zone, especially in these times. How everybody's able to connect so easily through LinkedIn, and the way that I was able to find you through LinkedIn is through common friends, through my friend Jesus Barraza, who also works in Riverside. And something that piqued my interest was your project, Apiro. Am I pronouncing it right?
It's Italian, so it means to do something worthwhile.
And how did you pick the name?
It's actually my co-founder that picked the name. We were having issues trying to find the right name for the company, and then that's where we landed. So,
and how did you meet your co-founder?
We met at school at Cal Poly Pomona. We were in the same program, studying the same thing. She were a couple classes behind me, but I think after she graduated and we've been working for a while, we had the same passion for starting a business, and that's how we got started.
I noticed that you got your bachelor's in supply chain. Is that where you met your partner?
Yep.
Or okay.
Cal Poly Pomona offer the technologies and operations management focus on their business degree, and that's where our program was in. So and that's where we kind of studied the same thing together.
Was it like a school project where you started this business? Or,
No, we had
or this company.
Well, we had classes together, right? And then we had a student organizations called Operation Management Society, or OMS for short. And at the time before COVID, we would have like events, like meet up every week. And then, the student would mingle quite a bit, just like network within the peers. And you grew kind of close to those that attend those events and keep that friendship going.
Yeah, and I really enjoy those events because you could just feel kind of like the hunger in a good way of their peers wanting to start something, right? Like a company. Is that what you felt?
Yeah. No, I think between Sandra and I, we've always been trying to find our place in the world, so to speak. And we're always trying to find the most interesting thing to work on. So by working for other people, you kind of work towards their own goal, right? You're not working towards your goal. So starting something for your own, you might or might not be successful, but at least you're working towards something that you ultimately wants to achieve. So I think that's quite the drive for us to start the project.
So you started as a project Apiro. It looks like you wanted to fix a problem in the supply chain. What did you want to fix?
It's so their supply chain as a discipline is very vast, and there's so many things that happen within. So to fix a particular problem, you need to look at the whole chain, right? So it's a chain. It's not a single process that you can fix. So we started out as a consulting agency to understand the different problem at different steps of the process. And we still are a consulting agency at the moment where we help our clients with different things. It could be a reporting automation. It could be managing a purchase order, or it could be doing just like build an Excel sheet that the client could work on and manage their operations. But that's where we are currently. We found some gaps that we think we could help because there's so many software out there that solve a lot of problems that we don't think that now is the right time for us to come in and be those people that have been in the business for a while. So we're working to see, okay, where are the new gaps that people haven't solved yet. So to answer your question, we hadn't found it.
Yeah.
But we're working to find out what that is.
And then it looks like you've helped a couple of clients so far, correct? Can you share an example of how Apiro has helped a client improve their supply chain? Specifically, I know you mentioned a couple of examples.
Yeah. So,
Can you go deep on just one?
Yeah.
Example?
So one of our clients, they are a retailer that do custom part manufacturing. They're called TrophySmack, and shout out to TrophySmack. They're, if you're into fantasy football or basketball or anything like that, they have a wide variety of products that you could select from. So if anybody was like, they can check them out. But they custom made to like your nameplates, right? You can have a base, which is like a base of a trophy. Then you can swap like a basketball or a baseball or football on it, and then you can custom made the people's name, whoever won the league, on the trophy. And they have like belts and rings and things like that people can like custom made their names. So they have a lot of parts and a lot of things that people can just switch on the fly. And initially for them, it's very difficult to control how they bring in those SKUs that make up those products. And they're having issues of, okay, how do we schedule this correctly? And they were initially going to hire somebody part-time. That would have cost them, I think, at least $30,000. We came in and just helped them out with a model, and it has only cost them about $1,000 so far, and achieve pretty much the same thing. So, that's we help them schedule their inbound shipments. So, what to buy, when to buy it, and when to ship it to their dock. That's what we help them with.
So you save them $30,000 from hiring a person, right? And what other problem did you help them out with to solve right there?
Right now, we're just helping them with that, and as a byproduct of our help, they're able to track when they're going to run out of materials, so that they're able to react accordingly. So it wasn't the intent of the original thing that we built for them, but they have used that tool to help them keep track of their inventory.
And how does Apiro use technology? Because you mentioned how you help them out right there, right? But how do you use technology to make supply chain stronger?
Surprisingly, a lot of supply chain are run on spreadsheets. And what we built was just a very big and fancy spreadsheet for the client. But that's not where we want to stop, right? Spreadsheet has its limitations, and we would like to improve the client's experience with a software that do the same things that the spreadsheet does, but on a more user-friendly interface, as well as added functionality. So we're working to build that, but it's not something that we're finished today.
And how does Apiro add a value at different stages of the supply chain? I know you mentioned a couple right now. Can you mention another example?
I think Apiro as a company is the client can treat them as a partner in any steps of the supply chain where they see a gap, meaning that one client, we help them manage the sourcing, which basically find the right supplier that can bid together and bring the different proposal, right? One of our client didn't have anybody helping them with that, so we were the one that helped them, right? So we would inject ourselves in positions where the client is missing, and help with basically anything supply chain related. And then that's where our value is, and we offer our services at a good rate, just because we're able to conduct things faster because we're not stuck within this structure. So we're very agile in how we do things, and able to deliver it at a lower cost.
And that example you just gave about bidding, can you give me some insight on that?
Sure. when you try to build something, for example, a car, right?
Yeah.
You need to build buy all sort of things. Like your company can make certain things, but you cannot make everything, right? But the car itself needs to have an engine, right? Headlights, electronics, whatever the case might be. And those individual components have different requirements to be able to integrate to the overall system of the car, right? Okay, your engine needs to meet these specs, these horsepower, whatever, like uses this type of oil, whatever the case might be, to be able to fit within the design of the entire vehicle. Your headlights, the same thing, right? Like if your design, the headlight is round, but you want to buy a round headlights. You don't want to buy a headlight that is like, an eye shape or whatever the case might be. Or your design is, you got a spoiler on the back of your car, right? You want the right exact spoiler. Otherwise, the spoiler doesn't really give that effect that you wanted for the car. So, but then you want it at a cheaper price and to meet the timeline of the project too, right? So those are three things that you want to do: the right product at the right price at the right time. So our task is to find the people who can do that, and help the client bid. Take in the bid, review the bid, right, and then make the best decisions for the client, right, or let them make the decisions, but we will be the advisor to that. Like, hey, you see these 3 or 4 company that say they can make these things at this price, and they can deliver within this time frame. Mm-hmm. And then we would help them look at the overall project timeline, what the budget's constraints are, and which are one of the best suppliers to that. And of course, the client has the final say. We just act as an advisor. Mm-hmm. So,
and right now with your company, since you work with different type of industries, what's the industry that you want to focus on? Because where we're at, right, in Empire, there's a whole bunch of companies, warehouses with different type of industries.
Yep.
So far, what industry do you want to work with, and with which industry do you enjoy working with?
Yeah, supply chain is a discipline, not an industry. So we can inject ourselves in many things, and in any industry. Now, that said, each industry has its own unique characteristic of how to do things, right? Aerospace has a very unique thing about them, is that there's so much requirements into an airplane, right? You build a car, you can screw up a few design here and there, and it's still fine. It's on the road. It doesn't hurt anybody. You build an airplane, right? You make the wrong design, it's gonna fly, fall off the sky, hurt a lot of people, right? And waste a lot of resources. Or you fly in the sky and it doesn't interact correctly with the air traffic around it, then and doesn't turn on the right signal, whatever the case might be. There's so much more regulations around airplanes, which is a good thing, right? But it introduced complexity into the business. So I think as far as industries I enjoy the most, I would say I don't particularly enjoy one industry. I find all industry fascinating. They're in their own way. What I enjoy the most is to help people solve problems in general, and in the context of the supply chain and how people run their businesses. That's where I want to inject myself and my company. Is okay, well, you have a problem operationally, how can we help solve that? So it very industry agnostic. So I need to answer your question because I really don't have one favorite, so.
Good. Let me give you a little scenario, right? There's a company, they make electrical switches, connectors. And management is saying, our supplies to produce it's not coming in time. He just gave me a perfect example with the Trophy. How would you help him out? What would be the start? How would you start helping that business owner with that problem?
good questions, right? There are many things to a constrained supply. Number one, you need to look at why they're not receiving the items on time, or when people say they do not receive them on time, a lot of time it comes down to planning, and the late shipments. A lot of it also is a lack of correct planning, and a lack of communication between the vendor and the manufacturer who needs it. What we have found is if you communicate often with the supplier, they will tell you, hey, we're unable to ship you these things on time. We're sorry, but that's just how it is, right? Mm-hmm. Again, and then keeping up with the trends at the port, right? If they're importing things from China, for example, things are going to get stuck at the port, right? Right now, it's pretty normal, but I think right off of the pandemic, right, the out of the gate from the port takes so long, nobody can get things out of the port. And because there's so many empty containers sitting in the port, shifting through those containers was difficult too. So it's not really the port's fault. It's just too many containers arrive and they weren't built to handle that capacity. So in a sense, if you as a business anticipate these things are going to happen, you will make adjustment to your operations so that it can perform based on the constraints. So two things I would look at. One is, why is these things coming in late? Is it the planning? Is it the supplier? Or is it the communications, right? And then look at, so that's one thing, is why is coming in late? And then two is, how is the productions or is being executed, right? If you're constantly producing, and a lot of time people want to produce as many as fast as they can, but that's may or may not be the right move, and it might not be the most profitable move to do. So it's we can take a look at those two things.
Why is that? Why wouldn't it be a profitable move?
Yeah, good questions, right? So you might produce a lot, but then you would have a lot on inventory. If your inventory is not being sold as fast as you produce them, why do you make more? All you're doing is stockpiling items that doesn't help you get money.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So all you do is just fill up your warehouse and that's it. So if you if you anticipate a larger sales volume, then yeah, go, make, right? But if your sales is stable and you just want to make more, that doesn't help your business. It's not the most profitable thing to do. Now, of course, if you have unlimited demand for your products and everybody wants your products, well, yeah, you want to, continue to just keep doing.
Or you have purchase orders, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, that's like I said.
That's a different scenario.
Well, when you have purchase order, it's a known demand, right, to you. But if you make consumer products, right, like trophies, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know when you're going to buy a trophy. Just one day you decided, hey, I just want a trophy because I want to run a fantasy league.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know, but I can anticipate based on the trends I've seen. As a collective, I can use the data and then make some decisions.
And for example, what kind of data do you look at to make those decisions?
So we, as a business, you typically want to make your sales data. Right? You use your sales data to make some decisions on the growth of your company and what you anticipate to happen based on your salespeople's strategy. Because a lot of time people will have sales strategy to increase sales. And a very seasoned salesperson can kind of estimate how much they can make more. And you, as a business owner, would need to kind of trust them a little bit. Now, they tend to be over optimistic because they're salespeople.
Yeah.
So
we get carried away.
Yeah, they get carried away, right? But as a business owner, you want to make some realistic assumptions based on their feedback, right? And for us, we don't help with the sales forecast. that's on our clients to do. But we look at their supply data and how it has been trending. So, we like, okay, looks like there is a trend that grow 50% in all of these items. You might want to purchase 50% more, right? And that's why we looked at is the usage data. We don't see the sales data at the end, like each kit that got sold. We don't see that, but we see is the supply. And that's how we help the client make the decision, okay, how many to buy.
So far I've enjoyed you explaining the different projects, and even at the example I gave you, how you broke it down and how you would help out such business. But now also I enjoyed you talking about how even though you don't know exactly what you're going to build, am I correct?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're taking action. Yeah. And that's what English Road Podcast is about, is bringing communities that are building a business, a project, or have an existing company or business together and talk about what they're doing. And the listeners, right, that want to start a company, when they listen to these examples, they take action. Even though they don't know what they want to do, what they want to build at the end, but taking action is what's going to get you there, because you're going to find that specific need or that specific gap in which you want to build. Now, I know we spoke a little bit off of cameras about AI. What's your take about AI? Has it been useful in your field of supply chain?
Yeah. So AI is very interesting in that it's a force multiplier, in my opinion, is that you can enable yourself, if you use it correctly and understand the basic fundamental of your work, it can really amplify the way that you do. For example, if I do data analysis, right, I could try to think about all the things I need to do and write those code out to analyze data, or I can ask ChatGPT and give me a very simple basic analysis script based on some of the prompts input that I do, so that I can have 20, 30 lines that I can get started with. Now, writing those 30 lines might take me 15, 20 minutes, but that's 20 minutes that I didn't have to do. Now, I may or may not come in and adjust those code if it's incorrect, but at least I got my start, right? So that's one, and it helps with data analysis. Two is it gives you ideas to amplify what you're trying to do, or just kind of in the brainstorming stage. It's actually pretty helpful in that way. So, if you have some ideas, hey, you come in, I have these ideas, what are your thoughts? And you can ask it, and then you can talk to it. Like, okay, well, this is what I want to do, but I'm not sure. Give me some more ideas that's related to this, right? And then it's going to spit out some random stuff. Some of it might be irrelevant. Some of it might be, and you can pick and choose, right? So there's really two things: is a force multiplier for your current task that you're an expert in, and it can help you brainstorm. So AI itself, generative AI in general, is going to help you doing those two things very well. The old AI, which nobody really talked about anymore, is machine learning and just general statistics. Those are still being used, right? It just, people don't really understand how it fits in their business correctly yet. A lot of people will try AI as, all they think about is chatbot, but there's so many things as AI, right? They can help use machine learning to forecast their stock, right? Usage. Kind of how we do it. We don't exactly use, it's not very applicable for everything, but and if a situation arises and it fits within the machine learning context that we can use, then we will absolutely use it at Apiro. But it's not always the case, because if you're missing data, your data is not clean, right? It's garbage in, garbage out. So you don't want to go that route if that's your data. But if, data is clean, it's good, and it has certain criteria that fits within certain models, then you absolutely want to use machine learning for it. So, and that's where I think AI is, and not many people have a good understanding on how to apply them correctly. A lot of people understand them, but the people understand the machine learning don't understand the business, and the business themselves is too busy working on their business that they don't really spend time with these people who really understand this stuff to engage in a conversation that could be fruitful. So companies that have those kind of resources are typically very successful, like Amazon, for example. They have so much money, they got the business people talking to the data scientists. They're able to forecast where to put on their SKUs and be able to respond to customer within 2 days, right? That's crazy. When it first came out, it was like 2-day shipping. We never heard of it. And a lot of it is AI, so to speak, right? If you want to call it that. So yeah, and like AI, it's been around. It's just generative AI make it seems like very interactive, very human-like, where you can talk to it. So that's how I see AI progressing.
Well, thank you for that explanation. Now let's finish up with 5 questions.
Okay.
And these 5 questions are going to be for the people that want to balance a full-time job and start their company. Here's the first one. What challenges did you face when managing your full-time job and starting Apiro?
Yeah, the full-time job definitely take, at least 40, if not 50 hours of your time. And when you make a company, you need to spend time for it, right? You need to dedicate time. So I think time management is very difficult in order to fulfill the obligations that your project gives you. It's kind of like if you're working full-time and go to school. It's very similar to that. If you have done that before, you can do it again, but this time you might make money. Right? So that's how I would think about it that way. Now, I myself do a lot of volunteer, so I found ways to make that time work. And of course, there's a lot of sleep that I have to sacrifice, but because you're working on something that you like, that lack of sleep is not really an issue. And you can always find time, that you say, hey, maybe, yes, there's commitment, but if you make that commitment a little bit further down the road, then you can take a rest.
And how important is having a co-founder or a team when you're juggling a full-time job and a startup?
Yeah, I think having a team is always better, right? You can balance each other out, have somebody else to either reject or accept your ideas that you put up. Is very helpful in a way that, if I thought about something and then, the co-founder said, hey, I don't know, that might be stupid. Then I might have to, I might not reject that person right away, but I have to think like, okay, is it really stupid, right? And then we can have some deliberations, right? Okay, why do you think it's stupid? Like, let me know. Right? And I think that keeps you grounded for the most part. So if you surround yourself and at least have somebody so that you don't have to go through things together. And the best part is you can do twice the research, right? It's like, okay, how do you start a company, right?
Yeah.
If you yourself is trying to start a company, you're trying to find, okay, well, do I register here? Do I register here? There's so many information online. And a lot of time you might run into scams. If you have somebody like, okay, I think this is good. And then, okay, yeah, let's do that, right? So if you have 2 people, that comes to like, okay, maybe we can do it this way, and you both come to the same conclusion, chances are that is not a scam. So, so that, you have two people doing research is helpful. If you have more and you can afford more, just make sure that it's clearly understood what are the roles and responsibilities between the team members. I think that's well, to answer the question, yes, having it's not completely required, but it does help, right? In terms of keeping you grounded.
Yeah, you're like Pedro Vargas on LinkedIn, English Road Capital. Is he a scam or not? He's not a scam. I'm here.
Well,
As a joke.
The scam with AI gets really complex these days. People can replicate your face, replicate your voice, and then call your grandma like, "Hey, grandma, I'm trying to start a business." Right?
It's happened to my uncle, and he's lost some money. Yeah, because sometimes you just believe it. You're like, "Oh, I'm in an emergency. Send me $1,000."
Yeah, I mean,
it happens.
Right now it's a text, right? But in the future, it's going to be video call that gets sent to your family members. So,
yeah, that's good that you mentioned that, so everybody can be careful.
Yeah,
so it'll happen, and it'll catch you off guard too.
Well, we can go into a separate whole hour on that, because I have tools that I have used to do that. Not to scam people, but to experiments with like voice cloning, facial changes, like with cameras on too. So,
have you tried to make some music?
I have a Suno AI to make music. You can type in the random prompt. It gives you songs in different languages even. So it's pretty cool stuff that's happening.
Maybe in another day you could show us. Last question. How do you stay motivated when working a job and building a business? What keeps you going?
Yeah. I think it's important to have a goal, and even though it might keep a goal that is realistic, but at the same time, kind of moonshot a little bit, right? So our goal is to find a gap in supply chain. Now, we don't have that is our goal, but we don't have it yet, and it could be difficult to find, right? So what we have found to keep ourselves motivated is to celebrate small wins, right? We got a client, so let's celebrate that. We built something, that's good, right? So if you can find yourself small accomplishment and get validated by getting payment, then that will motivate you to the next step. I think that's to keep your company going. Now, as far as getting out of your full-time job and then work on your project, how do you keep yourself motivated to do that? I'll have to be honest, it's someday it's very difficult. It's like, I'm so tired. I'm I've done the 10 hours a day. Now I got to go work on, because the client's due like tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you have to work through it. But keeping the end goal in mind is that you're working towards something that you like is important, right? It is what worthwhile, because you're working for yourself. Mm-hmm. You're working towards something you like and you want to contribute. So I know that's not as easier said than done. I myself have felt very unmotivated some days after work, but because I've set up to find a problem to solve, and then we've been solving some problems, and that's that keep me motivated to keep going.
Now, if a business owner that has a company and has some issues in supply chain, how can they reach you?
Yeah. So my email is huy@apiropms .com, or they can find me on LinkedIn, or they can maybe I'll provide you with our websites, apiropms.com, and that's where they'll find us, and then there's a contact us there, or they can reach us directly on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll also put your info on the description in case there's somebody that's going through different problems, different hiccups, and you're able to provide that help with your co-founder.
Sounds good. Yeah, we typically we'll do a free first meeting. We don't charge anything, just to meet with the potential client. All we want to do is hear, what do you need help with, and can we help? Now, we'll be honest whether or not we can help. And if we think that we can help, then we'll settle on a contract, and we will do everything with a contract that's guaranteed to protect the client and us. So
yeah. Well, thank you for coming to the English Road podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.